Hey everyone, and welcome to Recipe for Reality, otherwise known as The Funeral, as we say our goodbyes to Ingrid's fantasy team, as we eulogize the
Oh my
fantasy
God.
team of Ingrid, who has joined us so gracefully today. Ingrid and Austin are here. I couldn't get Zach this week. Zach obviously has Tech Week for his, not obviously, not everyone knows this, but he has his Tech Week for his show, so obviously he can't be here, is what I meant to say. It's not obvious that he has Tech Week unless you're a stalker. But I do have Austin and Ingrid here to talk about Survivor. I hate doing it alone, so I had Dan on for the premiere. That was quite a blast. Hearing an opinion that was very anti-Suri on this podcast for episode 1. Didn't expect it, but hey,
Oh my
he
God.
answered the call. He answered the call, and we talked about the premiere. But now we get to talk about episode 2, and more importantly, the swap that's coming, which is a really exciting spot to be in. And I feel like you have to at least podcast before the swap because the game's going to change completely. So like we're really kind of looking at a blank slate for a lot of players, and it's hard to read the edit now because a lot of these players are now going to get a boost. There's only been one tribe really going to tribal, so we've been really laser focused on that Sela tribe. But let's just look at the fantasy real quick, just because,
God.
as I said, Ingrid having Savannah and Jenna really tanked her early portion of the game, but in my opinion and a lot of other opinions, Christian right now has had the best edit, best main character focus on the show. Ozzy was the big dominating force of episode 1, Christian episode 2, but even more so, I think Christian across 2 episodes has been kind of our main character. So the hope is still there. I mean, if Christian wins the season, Ingrid, I think you're still looking okay, because he'll probably do a lot of fun stuff to get there, including playing a fake idol, maybe that Rick Devens planted in the tribal council. But we're going to talk about episode 2, and then we'll get into the future tribes. But how have you guys been liking the season as a whole? Because obviously, we were talking about episode 2, but in general, have you been a fan of 50 so far,
Yeah.
Austin and Ingrid? Yeah.
No, I've loved it. I think it's one of the best seasons we've had in a very, very long time already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even a new era hater.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, you two are very pro new era.
I even enjoyed 49, even though a lot of people hated it.
Mm.
I liked 49. I didn't hate 48 as much as other people. It wasn't my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
47 was great, but
Yeah.
like as far as like peak Survivor goes, like I think I saw someone on Twitter say like this is the first one maybe since like for them they were saying Cambodia, where they're like and like can't wait for the next week to happen.
Right.
And like I feel a similar sentiment. I mean, I had some of that with Winners at War, but like Winners at War also like merge when there's no old school players left is a little
it's like
little
new school,
like,
new school and Tyson.
This early in Winners at War, you still have that sentiment.
Yeah, I think Winners of War, the pre-merge.
Yeah.
The pre-merge for Winners of War is like, you're waiting to tune in every week, but then as it trickles along, it becomes less appointment viewing. I think 37 is probably the last one I would say is like every single week it was like you had to tune in for David versus Goliath.
I agree.
Because I think also the end game was still full of all the big players of the season: Angelina, Mike White, at the time Nick, and then obviously Christian going out right before the finale. But Ingrid, what are your thoughts on 50 so far?
Well, all opinions are welcome. I feel like if you don't like 50, you don't like fun. Sorry. Like I love that we have 90-minute episodes. I think that has allowed for so much more content. Like I know we're not focusing on the premiere, but like we watched that 3-hour episode and I did not feel like I was like watching Survivor for 3 hours.
Yeah.
It flew by because it was entertaining and it was captivating, and I don't feel like I'm missing a lot in terms of like even the people that we didn't get and things like that. Like I'm truly really happy with how the season is going so far, even though my fantasy team is in the grave.
The only thing I'm missing right now is a good classic intro montage.
Yeah. Weird on 50 that we don't get that. Maybe we're getting it episode.
But we also got that really amazing beginning of episode 1, so I'm like,
true. Yeah, it was a really great introduction.
The one thing I want to touch on the premiere that I truly applauded them for was the fact that we did not get a commercial until a half hour into the first episode was incredible.
Insane.
Yeah, because and the whole first opening montage was like 5 minutes almost. It was probably like 2 or 3, but it felt like it felt like they were really being honoring of the fans in the sense like we got Lacey's fall on there. Like that was nuts. Like so many little
random super niche things that they included that were
whoever put that together knows
knew their
doing.
stuff.
Yeah, and knew how to appeal to the fans because this is the hands of the fans. And I think kind of the one thing that I'm a little worried about is as these advantages keep going out. And I know we all voted for dynamic advantages or whatever, but also where's the proof? Where's the proof of all these wins, these poll results? But I do think obviously fans were going to say the more the merrier, like the casuals, of course. But my only worry is like we're looking at a swap where there are players who are just numerically screwed. Unless there's some crazy stuff happening, and there's obviously idols and stuff out there, but even the idols this season, the boomerang idol is a really great concept, but it's also like Genevieve is in a position now where I think she's in a tough spot with her swap. And she finds the idol. She just has to give it away. So it's like one of those things where, like, if Genevieve gets to keep her idol, if Christian gets to keep his idol, does that change the game as opposed to, like, oh, we're sending them to Ozzy and Aubrey? And, yeah, that's the one thing I'm a little worried about is the fact that, like, you have this boomerang idol, great, but then, like, could you also put real idols in the game as well to just kind of, like, offset that? They probably will later. It's just that's my one worry. Also, with the swap, it's like there are going to be big characters lost every episode no matter what, and some of them are going to be out because they could not do anything else, whereas at least Savannah had a hand in her boot. Jenna had a hand in her boot. They fought hard, but they ultimately just fought against the wrong people and put the wrong C name out there. Being Miss
How dare you?
Which you don't cross the queen. But I do think that's my one worry going forward is that because it's promised to be so advantage heavy. I mean, we've already had Q and Colby, two polar ends of the spectrum, old school fan favorite and like new school chaotic player that we want on our screens as long as you can have him on for without getting exhausted. But either way, they both lost their vote. And if they go out because they lost their votes, you know, we want to see Q go out in a blaze of glory. We want to see Colby go out because he played a noble game and at the end has like a big fall from grace or something. Like we don't want to see them go out just because numerically they didn't have enough votes or whatever. So I'm just hoping that's the new era side. I don't want to necessarily creep into this, but in terms of the editing, the characters, I love that players are just wanting to have fun. I loved the little Rick Devens Joe debate. We can get to that in a second. Austin, I know you've brought up Joe a lot. He's on your fantasy team, but also you've drafted him as like the best hero in the draft, and now he's getting a pseudo villains edit, even though he is right in being valid and being like, hey, what were you talking about? It's valid to ask. Yet the edit is portraying it like Rick is right, but at the same time, Rick is saying it's boring Survivor, and I kind of agree with that. But at the same time, like boring Survivor sometimes is better Survivor because I think Rick playing like that could get him in trouble. So, but again, it's you get both ends of the spectrum, and I really like that it's kind of covering so much ground in that way. But yeah, we can talk about like episode 2 in particular. What did you think of this most recent episode? Did it live up to episode 1? I guess we can start with the Orange Tribe, the Rick Joe thing, how the boot fell on Savannah. What are your thoughts on just how that all transpired?
Obviously my heart is broken over Savannah. But I think that the whole episode on this tribe especially was very entertaining. It like kept you on your toes a little bit. All the way from the beginning with Christian's surprise gastrointestinal distress.
Yes.
I love when a nerd has gastrointestinal distress on my Survivor. Shout out Stephen Fishback.
Yes.
But like from that all the way to them all dancing around Joe, the conflict between Rick and Joe. The only thing that like kind of bothered me was like, and it could have just been me in the moment. But like I was bothered by how much we were seeing people talk negatively about Joe, but then like an almost unanimous vote for Savannah happened, or maybe it was unanimous. It was. And I'm like, why? Like, I get the idea of like wanting to show, okay, it could be this person or that person, but like to me, I left not fully understanding why Savannah was so bad for everybody's game when
I have the answer.
When what I saw was a bunch of people talking about how frustrating it was to play with Joe.
Yeah.
And then nobody voted for Joe.
Right. It's like the decoy boot. Yeah. Yeah. Because every season there feels like every boot, there's like a decoy, obviously.
Yeah.
But then you usually at least have two options and it's one or the other. Whereas this one, it felt almost kind of was like Joe or Ozzy. And then Savannah was also an option.
Savannah, and I was like...
Yeah, she was one of the three options, but I agree. Like the narrative didn't really support. I think honestly, the Suri stuff all
It's
supported
Suri.
a Savannah boot in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
Suri going through the motions, being like, "Ozzy, I saved you," but then it cycles still around to Joe and Rick fighting right before Tribal. I think if they had
Right.
edited it differently, where Suri does the turn on Savannah right before they walk, I think it makes a little more sense because
Yeah.
they also wanted to end it on the Rick and Christian thing. So I think that
And I
was
got
kind of
that
what they
for
were.
sure.
Yeah, they were
It's
kind of
just
hyping
like-
that up first, but yeah, I
Like,
agree.
I understand why it benefits their game to get rid of Savannah on paper, right? Like, she's a winner of a season that they haven't seen. They don't know who she is. They don't feel that connected to her, like that kind of thing. Like, I get that. I just didn't love how the story was being told because it made me like frustrated that they didn't get rid of Joe.
Well, the thing is it doesn't benefit their game to get rid of Savannah. It only benefits Cerise.
Right.
And that's what we were shown, was Cerise changing everyone's mind away from what they wanted to what she wanted.
And I love her down, but I'm like, bro.
Because like Savannah was the only one on that tribe that still had Cerise's name in her mouth.
Yeah.
Therefore, Cerise needed Savannah to go. And she used all of the other really good reasons to make it happen.
Yeah, and I think it's also very telling that like Ozzy gives her the advantage, and Emily, who had Ozzy's name in her mouth, immediately switches when Suri talks to her. Like there is a miss that Suri has, and there's no denying that, and they did show that properly. It's just I agree. I honestly think what they need to bring back is voting confessionals more so. Like let us see at least Suri being like, Savannah, this is why you have to go, yada yada yada. Then show Savannah's vote. The problem is because they're unanimous votes, it kind of gives away what the vote is going to be when none of the votes are actually for Joe anyway. But you could even do the voting confessionals where they don't show the name, but they have them talking about it. That used to be a big mainstay in old school Survivor, and I do think it's something that like you could bring back to at least justify. So when you see every vote coming in for Savannah, it makes a little bit more sense. I feel like the voting confessionals have kind of gone away a little bit more. At least since like Andy did his like Rome Fall episode, I really haven't gotten a sense that is as present a thing in the edit anymore. Also because like Christian, if he is your main character, I think he's the one out of the group that Suri didn't really. We got a lot of Suri kind of convincing Emily, a lot of Suri talking to Ozzy. We got a little bit of Devon's. Not as much Christian, but again, if Christian and Rick are the ones running the strategy on this,
there's a little bit with Christian, but even in her talk. Yeah, there's a little bit with Christian, but even in her talk with Emily on the hammock, Emily is already saying that Christian wants Savannah to be the boot.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Emily lays out that Emily wants Ozzy, Rick wants Joe, and Christian wants Savannah. So I think part of it is we didn't see Suri do the hard sell on Christian because there wasn't a hard sell to have.
Right, but here's the thing is like if Savannah's going to be your boot, then like you show Rick wanting Joe, you show Emily wanting Ozzy. If you have a little bit more of Christian and Suri even having a conversation being like, yeah, it's got to be Savannah, here's the plan, and we're going to
how do we convince everybody else?
Yeah, I think that would at least justify it a little bit more, because I agree.
And
I think the Savannah boot felt a little bit random, not as random because we knew preseason she was already kind of screwed on that tribe, especially, and just because she wasn't getting we weren't seeing who her number one allies were. We weren't seeing her really being bonding with anyone in like a way that Suri and Ozzy or Rick and Emily and Christian have been. So we kind of knew she was already on the outs, and Joe just makes more sense to keep around for strength, because Savannah didn't tell them she won all those challenges either, which I think could have also helped her. But I just think for the edit of that episode, I agree with you, Ingrid. It was just very hard to justify, aside from surprise value, why she went home. And now I feel like it's a disservice to where I hope they open the next episode maybe with Suri kind of narrating what happened. But I feel like I feel like it's all just going to be about Devon's and Christian's idol thing.
It is.
Yeah.
They put up a sneak peek today.
Yeah.
And the sneak peek seems to be the scene where they're coming back from tribal, and it's Rick and Christian talking about the execution of planting the fake idol.
I just hope we get a little bit more after with Suri, at least being like, I did that. Because also, for the case of, I know Austin and we predicted her as the winner, like, I really need to see those moments, because I feel like we didn't get that with Jenna, whereas, again, that was more of Ozzy's move than Suri's, but I really do hope, we get a little bit more of that this time with her narrating the boot, because I think if you don't get credit,
you're saying that the Jenna boot is Ozzy's move?
It wasn't Ozzy's move, but the show presented it as Ozzy trying to save Suri.
Okay.
Because Suri even is
like,
I really have no hope. Ozzy's
I
in
had
the water.
seen it more as a like a Christian Rick move.
Yes.
Of them like throwing Jenna under the bus to Suri and
and Rick tips it off to Suri, but it is Ozzy who has to kind of do the work and convince at least Joe. We see that moment where he's in the water being like, it's gonna be Jenna. But either way, do you like this fake idol play? What do we think about this?
I mean, I think it was fun. I think the idea is fun, and I think the execution of it was fun, and I like to see people having fun on Survivor. I'm mostly curious. I need to see like the payoff here. Like I need
Yeah.
to see the outcome to like
And it's definitely going
fully
to
get
happen,
behind it.
right? They don't.
I mean,
Obviously, they'd have to show it either way because it's like, how do you not show it? But also,
Yeah.
like, I feel like it would be so dissatisfying if Rick or Christian goes out pre-merge and we never actually see this.
Yeah.
At least for one of them benefiting. Like, if one
Yeah.
of them gets out early, I could see the other one using it. But I really hope they're both there in the merge to capitalize on that. One of them,
we
I
could
think, has
see
a
it
good
sooner
swap. One of
rather
them
than
has a
later
bad swap.
with if one of them feels in a bad spot on the swap.
Yeah, I think one of them has a good swap, one of them has a bad swap, so we'll have to talk about it. But Ingrid, what do you think of the flashy little?
I think it was
charade?
super entertaining. I was like blown away watching Christian be an Academy Award winning actor, and it's so funny because he looks at, I guess it was Ozzy, and it's like, I meant to do that. And it's funny because they think he's joking, but like he actually meant to do that. And so like he technically did not lie to them, which is even funnier because if that were presented to him in some way, like later on, he could be like, well, I didn't lie. Told you I meant to do that. Not that it necessarily will, but that part was really fun and entertaining to me. And kind of like Austin saying, like, I don't know how necessary it was yet.
Right.
It was kind of extra, which is fun on 50. Like you want people to be doing crazy stuff. But we'll see if it matters. I think obviously based on what we're seeing, it will in some capacity.
Yeah.
But we'll see if it matters. Right now, it feels like it might not. But
yeah, they're not making it out to be like they're dodos for it. They're clearly making it out to be like they are the ones who are at least in the right. Like it seems like Ozzy and Suri are running that tribe, but the edit is showing it as more so Rick and Christian kind of being the ones. I think all of them collectively, like I think that group of 5 is really working together really nicely. With kind of Joe being kind of on the outskirts of that, but I really do think it's going to be really interesting to see the payoff. But my other question with this tribe in particular is the Joe and Rick debate. We kind of talked about it in general, how like it's cool that we got that both men are right and wrong in their own ways. But what do you think is the more? I mean, obviously the edit showed Rick to be the more positive in that debate. But do you agree with Rick? Like it's Survivor, you gotta lie, or do you agree with Joe to the extent of like, well, I just asked you a question? Because also Rick, it wasn't a huge lie or anything. Rick could have just been like, Savannah floated this alliance, but like let's not do it, or just play along and say let's do it. You know, where do you fall on this?
Like, I agree with Rick that like in general like lying it's Survivor. Like you're gonna lie, you don't have to, you can have secrets, you don't have to tell someone every single little thing. But I also feel like the thing he kept a secret was kind of dumb to keep a secret.
Right.
Like I feel like it was a dumb thing to not just like bring up or tell him. So that's why I'm like 50-50 on it, because like I agree. I'm not really in this whole like honor, integrity. Like I like that it's being like called out and being like that's not what Survivor needs to be.
Yeah, I think calling out boring gameplay,
in this exact circumstance, it's weird.
Yeah, I think calling out boring gameplay is like valid. Like, yeah, he's like, it's 50, let's have fun. But at the same time, it's like for the better game move, I think being honorable and loyal is probably the better game move in a crazy season like this. I think loyalty is the only thing that's going to save you from these crazy swaps and twists and advantages. So that's why someone like Rick, I think, could be an early flameout, especially this second portion of the pre-swap or the post-swap, pre-merge. But I do think at the same time, for TV's sake, I think everyone agrees with Rick in the sense that, like, come on, let's just have fun with it. But I do definitely see the downfall of this. If people see Rick, if this happens with Rick and like maybe Coach or even someone else, this could backfire. He's lucky it's Joe who really, I don't know if Joe has the capital to do anything about it really, except for what he said, kind of shut up. But Ingrid, where do you fall on this?
So I was low-key under the impression that the alliance thing was a lie. And again, it could be me reading the situation wrong, but what I remember watching was Rick whispering to Savannah about needing to get Joe. And I didn't know if that meant get Joe in an alliance or get Joe out. And so when Joe approached him, I thought that he was catching Rick in a lie, and that's why Rick got defensive.
No.
But if that's not the case, then it is weird.
Yeah. What happened was when Rick asked Joe if they wanted to go get water, Savannah whispered to Rick first and said, "Are you going to bring up the alliance to him?" And Rick whispered back, "No, I want to wait. I want to wait on it."
Which is a weird thing to wait on. Like,
Yeah,
for sure.
right. Especially if you're not going to honor it, you could easily just tell Joe. You could even tell
Right.
Joe, "Hey, there's a new alliance." So then Joe is like off your back. I think also the problem is, and we got this set up earlier, is that Joe is just hard to have in an alliance because you have to consistently be feeding him information, giving him reassurance. And I think that's the thing that, like, which is why Rick is ultimately, I think, more in the right here, is just the fact that, like, I just don't even want to involve Joe in anything.
It's not isolated to this incident.
Right. And that's, I think, what the big thing is Rick blowing up on Joe is not because Joe asked him about this incident.
Yeah.
It's because he was already bothered by Joe previously to this moment. And this was the thing that made him like snap. As a teacher, I can relate to that. Like sometimes something happens over and over again and you're like, oh my gosh. And then that one thing just like makes you frustrated.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that Joe is at least being edited to be more of a liability to these people than an asset. Because if he's somebody that's going to need constant reassurance, thinking about the last time he played the game and like how duped he got and how he feels about how duped he got, like, but he doesn't want to change the way he's playing, like, it's not going to help because now he's not just loyal to a fault. He's loyal to a fault, but also paranoid about being loyal to a fault, but still wants to be loyal to a fault. So that's like a lot for people to dance around in an all-star in the hands of the fans season, which is surprising because I really thought that Joe was going to be somebody everybody wanted to pick up because of his loyalty, but he's proving to be more of a nuisance than anything else.
Yeah, and it will be very interesting to see if that changes with a swap, because we'll get into who he's swapped with later. But there are players, I think, on other tribes that do play a very loyalty-based game. People like Colby, people like Coach, people like Jonathan, even though Jonathan wants to play a cutthroat game this time, the Boston round.
I'm low-key really liking Jonathan, but
I'm liking Jonathan much more than I did, But let's segue to the Pink Tribe, because the only other thing to come from Orange this episode is that Christian finds the boomerang and sends it to Aubrey. After they all go through Aubrey's bag, are unsuccessful, and then Christian plants it in her bag.
God.
Yeah, Aubrey, a terrible premiere, had a much better second episode. Obviously, some people will say it's circumstantial, but I think getting the Ko-Rong, backstory was helpful. And just remembering who Aubrey was, reintroducing Aubrey to us. It almost felt like she was already defeated by like day 3, but it really seems like this kind of kicked her back into gear. And I think it's been since Edge of Extinction she's been on that low, and now we're finally seeing her after seasons and seasons kicking back into gear. And we know her biggest op is Genevieve, but now the big question is what happens, because they are going to be split up. Not Genevieve and Aubrey, but that whole tribe is going to be split up, so we don't really know how that would have gone. But it really seemed like everyone versus Aubrey, but Aubrey had the idol, and that's where I'm like, I wish this swap would have happened, because I wouldn't have happened this early, because I want to see how these tribe dynamics play out on these other tribes that haven't gone to tribal. But Kyle leaves, and Angelina's also kind of on the outs too, but it is a question of how much, because we really haven't gotten anything of Angelina except for Q being annoyed at her, and that's Q's own kind of moral standing, because he's also annoyed at Rizzo, and Colby doesn't seem to be annoyed at Rizzo anymore either. So I really wish we could have seen this tribe go to tribal as this tribe, also because there's 2 votes missing. Genevieve loses 2 votes in her alliance, and a whole person with Kyle really only has Steph now, so really unfortunate game so far for her. But what are your thoughts on this Pink Tribe dynamic? And we can
I want to slightly push back, because I've seen it a lot, but I don't fully agree with it. I want to push back on the idea that the premiere was terrible for Aubrey.
Oh, okay.
For 2 reasons, because I think 2 big things that people like. One, like, I get that she was like low at, like, she only had like 3 confessionals, but like a lot of people only had 3 to 5. Like,
there's 24 people.
Like there were very few people who had like an exponential, and the ones who had like an exponential amount were people who were on Orange and went to tribal. But like Aubrey is the narrator basically of the Kyle medevac, which I feel like is important. And I get that it's awkward, but I feel like there's a world where you could interpret Aubrey and Genevieve's interaction less of Aubrey's being weird and doing too much, and more of like Aubrey is picking up on the fact that Genevieve already has people that are not Aubrey. Which, because before Genevieve comes to Aubrey, we've already seen that foursome made.
Yeah.
And then we have Genevieve going to Aubrey. And it's like, in my opinion, you could interpret it, and maybe like there's a world where the editors were trying to have us see it this way, and we just, like, most of the fans just weren't interpreting it that way because people are misted and love Genevieve as much as they do. It's fair. Like, people love Genevieve, and Genevieve's great. But like, I think there's a world where you could interpret that as Aubrey being more aware of, like, yeah, Genevieve's saying this, but like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm getting a weird vibe from Genevieve, which probably she is, because Genevieve is going to be more like, even though Genevieve's saying all this to Aubrey, she already has her 4. She's already locked. At that point, she's locked in as a number 1 with Kyle. Like, she's not being genuine with Aubrey. Like, that's not someone that Genevieve is actually trying to like ride with and do damage with. So I don't think it was an entirely terrible premiere for Aubrey in the way people thought it was at first, especially if, like, looking back on it retrospectively now. In general, I'm enjoying Purple. I'm shocked that they're not the Disaster Tribe.
Yeah, they've been great.
Pink, Purple, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
She whispered, "It's pink."
I think it's pink as well, Ingrid.
The Pink Tribe. I don't think the Pink Tribe.
I voted for that buff because it was pink.
That's true.
Don't play with me.
I don't think it was as much of a disaster. It's obviously not as much of a disaster as we thought it was going to be.
Well, I think it's also because the players we thought would be disasters strategically. Yeah. I mean, Rizzo we expected to cause some waves, and he did, but then quickly turned that around. Angelina's been pretty much invisible.
But also in general, challenge-wise, like, Rizzo wasn't really known for doing great challenges. Q was on that tribe that kept losing. Stephanie is the queen of Oolong. Like, historically, these are not people that are necessarily great in challenges.
Even like Genevieve and Angelina were both on tribes pre-merge that didn't do super
Colby
great.
used to be, but now he's old. Like, the
even
last
Aubrey,
time we saw Colby,
think was like
done in challenges.
I don't think Aubrey was like a
this
challenge
week,
beast either. Yeah, like I think the only one on their tribe that was good in challenges is the guy who got medevaced. Yeah.
So I mean, they're fun. I wish we were getting more Angelina. I'm really sad about the lack of Angelina.
I'm just fine.
Yeah, I think the one thing about Aubrey's edit that I just want to talk about real quick in the premiere is that, like, she got 3, which 3 is actually not bad, like, for a premiere. It's the fact that, like, even D, who got 1, the confession was very substantial about, like, I did this last time, this time I want to do this. It's a lot of her talking about, like, them as a player, and I feel like a lot of Aubrey was like about Genevieve and then about Kyle. But then we got that in episode 2, and you also got to remember, if this is a traditional premiere where it's 2 tribals and we don't get a medevac, there's a very good chance we see, the second round kind of play out in the premiere where our Aubrey does get the idol, and maybe it was going to be intended to be that way, and then they were like, well, we have to just end the episode 1 on a Kyle boot, and then we'll end episode 2 with the Savannah boot, because I imagine, and this is just my theory, and I did see some press photos from this next episode, there is only 1 immunity idol at the challenge, so there is a question of, like, are we going to get double boots going forward, because we're going to have to at some point just to catch back up to schedule, and there's a very good chance now that we've been acquainted, now 1 tribe wins, 2 tribes go to tribal for the next few episodes until the merge is my guess.
It also looks like the crappier idol. Sorry to interrupt you. I feel like 1 looks like gold and 1 looks like silver, and I feel like in that picture it's the silver one. So I'm almost wondering. I'm almost wondering if he's already given the first one, and that's like a picture of him going back to grab the second one. But it could. We do need doubles. You're right.
Yeah, I think personally that's how it's looking. But yeah, I do think that it's just, you have to cram so much into the premiere, and if Aubrey was going to be like one of the big end game players, I wish they would have given her a little bit more, especially even at the mat, because like the mat, it was a lot of the iconic players that they were talking to, and like Stephanie got a good opening confessional. Like, there's a lot of old schoolers that got a big opening confessional. I feel like Aubrey and Angelina really got the short staff, but it could be because their tribe won and that they knew they would get the Kyle footage, and they knew Aubrey would find an idol in the next episode. So I'm not too out on Aubrey particularly, but I definitely think preseason she was a hot winner pick, and I just don't necessarily know if it's as strong as I would have liked her first few episodes to be. But what do you think of this idol going into her bag? Do you think this is a good move, Ingrid, on Christian to give it to Aubrey, or do you think she should have gone with Angelina?
Aubrey. I don't really know yet if I feel like it's a good move for Christian. Like, I don't know if there's like preseason stuff going on, because a lot of people are like, oh, pre-gaming, blah blah blah, especially post like Jenna and Savannah leaving. It's like I don't know if there's something there.
Colby, the king of the pregame, apparently. But
bro.
Continue.
My guy. Not too much on my friend Colby.
Yet his best friend is Rizzo, so I guess he kind of threw that out too.
I want to talk about Colby and Rizzo
Yes,
and
please.
how much I adore them.
Yes, I love
together.
it. Mm-hmm.
I love them so much. But yeah, to sum up Aubrey really quick, I think it's good for her. I think if she finds out that it was Christian, I think that's good for both of them. The question is, will she and how? Obviously it's really early, so we don't know. Depends on how they survive swaps and this and that. I don't know if they're swapped together or not. I don't remember.
Christian and Aubrey are not. No.
Okay, yeah. So it'll depend if they both survive the swap and all that kind of stuff, and if he does talk about it or whatever. But I do find it interesting that he seemed to give her the idol because he wanted to help her, whereas Genevieve gave Ozzy the idol with the intention to hurt him.
Right.
So I do like that we're getting to see these different players like play this idol differently. I am not super mad at the dynamic thing yet because I haven't felt like anything's been too crazy yet. Right. Like too overpowered or anything. Like I feel like there's a lot of checks and balances. I hate that this tribe is lost 2 votes though. I am never a fan of losing your vote on Survivor. Especially the way that Colby lost it.
I like the way Q lost it.
Q losing it that way, I don't hate because there was some strategy involved in that. And I think, just the currency of the game right now.
Yeah. And he got supplies. Like he got something out of it.
Yeah, he got something out of it where it's like Colby got nothing and doesn't have a vote. And that makes me mad. Yeah. Especially because it's not like that was prefaced when they drew the rocks to see who would not compete, Yeah. Which rip Mike White, by the way. He wanted to be on that journey so bad.
Why have 3 people go to a journey only for
and
one
then send one back? Yeah,
they do that a lot, and it's like I get they want to have that cross, pollination, and it helps because we get the whole.
He was there for 2 seconds.
We get the whole Ozzy coach feud because of it reignited. But again, I wish they had just all played, and then the loser. Or the losing 2 have to then decide if they want to play for losing their vote again. Give up the ante in some way. Make it could win, could lose.
I'm also Colby didn't want to go on the journey. He just went because no one else wanted to.
He took one for the team and then he lost his vote.
Why didn't Colby just be like, you know what, guys, I didn't even want
but I also think
why do they have to do the rock thing? Why couldn't Colby just be like, you know what? Guys, you go ahead.
There's a part of Colby that is I'm here for season 50. I'm not going to waste it. And I really appreciate that about Colby this go around. You can really tell that he has taken his spot on this season seriously.
Yeah.
Especially with Heroes vs. Villains. It was funny and it was entertaining that he didn't know what to do and was kind of a dud after what he was at the beginning. But I think if we had gotten that again, it would have been frustrating. So right. I'm really glad that he has really taken this seriously. And I love his relationship with Rizzo. Fans of the podcast should know at this point that I love Rizzo and I'm a big fan of Rizzo. I saw a lot of flack for him on Facebook for getting emotional over his Colby reminding him of his dad. And I was like,
you don't listen to Facebook for a reason.
He's also been out there twice in a row. He's been out there for a full 40 days.
Phony. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm the same age as Rizzo, pretty much. I think it's a couple months or whatever. We're both 25, 26. And if I was away from my dad for that long and couldn't contact him, I would be a wreck. Okay. I'd be an emotional wreck. He went home for 9 days in between seasons.
He probably didn't even get to see his dad for more than a few
maybe once.
Yeah.
Give the guy a break. It's just I think that there is something so sweet and genuine about how he was annoyed by Rizzo at first and then came around when he sort of saw himself in Rizzo. And that's such a beautiful thing that 50 is unique to 50 because of how long this show has been on. We wouldn't have gotten something really like that before.
No, not even on Heroes vs. Villains, because who was the youngest one?
That was 10 years. It's totally different now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a uniquely 50 thing that I'm really happy to see. And I'm just
absolutely.
happy with how Colby is doing so far.
And that's like the Jenna thing too. Like that's why even though Jenna going out first, it's poetic in a way because it's like she at least got to see if she could hang with the new kids, and it's not because she just was kind of easy fodder to get rid of. Like it's because she came out the gate swinging. It wasn't because she wasn't Kelly Wigglesworth on her return, you know. And I really like that about her.
It's a good what's it called? It's like a flattering way to go if there is one.
Yeah, and it's cool that it's season 1 and 49 going out back to back. So it's like you can't even say it's going to be a Winners of War where all the old school goes out back to back to back. And I love that about that. That was my big fear going into the season was that old school was going to get picked off, even though I had faith in people like Suri, like Aubrey, like Christian. But I really was worried that it would be a kind of slaughter of the new school. And we almost saw that in the first boot when it's Jenna, Ozzy, and Suri on the block. I'm like, oh god, here we go again. But I'm really glad that it's not seemingly. Even though I would like to get your opinion on who would have gone home if Pink hadn't swapped. Do you think, obviously Aubrey has an idol, so she's not going anywhere, and I assume if she feels the heat, she's probably going to play it. It's just a matter of, does she go for Genevieve, or do they split votes, try to find a way? Obviously they don't have enough votes to split, but like, where do you think the vote falls should they go to tribal?
I wonder if it's almost like it's Angelina.
That's what I was thinking, based on what
I was going to say that I could see her going for Steph as like Genevieve's right-hand person right now.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is I think they may just like pivot the votes to Angelina instead of Aubrey.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know that Aubrey has an idol because they searched all of her stuff and I don't think that they're going to go back again.
True. But also you got to think Q, if he's this, Q is in a good spot in terms of like, he played much more socially and he got well ingrained. Like I didn't expect that. I thought Q would be the Tony Vlachos game changers of the season, but he's really not. He's actually been able to kind of get into the core alliance, and it seems like him, Rizzo, Colby on the beach, like they had a really good talk, and he's getting along with Genevieve. We even saw in a not cut scene, but Mike Bloom reported that him and Aubrey had like a heart-to-heart after like he called Aubrey Mariah Aubrey on that season. They kind of like hugged it out. And
why didn't they show us that?
Well, and that's another question too, because another thing they didn't show was Angelina's negotiation for supplies, which I get how it could have felt a little bit performative, a little bit like, why are you doing this? It didn't feel authentic, but I'm also like, if you're Angelina, if you have Angelina on your show and she's making this negotiation day one and it looks ridiculous and it looks performative, put that on. You know, like I think this is either to cover up the fact that we want Angelina to look heroically, but then the very next episode, Q's like she's lazy. But also, Q's a villain of the new era, so are we supposed to side with Angelina? But we don't hear Angelina's opinion. That's where it's so confusing with Angelina, because I'd say of all the characters next to Q, she is the biggest character on that tribe.
Oh, no, according to Jeff, Q's a hero.
Well, that too, but okay. But either way,
we don't talk about Jeff's opinion.
Either way, though, yeah, like Angelina is still your most polarizing figure next to Q on that starting tribe. You would think she would get a little bit more than like, I mean, Colby, Steph, Genevieve, these kind of even keel, cooler, calmer players. Genevieve is a good confessionalist, so I'll give her that. But I really do think Angelina getting 0 confessionals in the second episode, especially, I mean, we're about to see a tribe swap where she ends up with both her David vs. Goliath people, so I imagine she's going to get some sort of boom, and she's still on a tribe with Q who doesn't like her, so I'm assuming we'll get some more Angelina soon. I still don't feel bad about picking her as a 0 vote finalist preseason, just because I think this is the typical like spot where if you are a 0 vote finalist, you don't go to tribal in the first few episodes, you get some negative content, and like you kind of are the GOAT again. I wouldn't be upset if that's the case for Angelina, because I love her and I want her to be around for a while, but yeah, I do wonder if Angelina would have gotten the boot, just because there's still that fear that Aubrey could have something, and maybe Genevieve doesn't want to completely close that door either, you know, because
I mean, just because they didn't find it in her like bag, like, why would anyone at this point in time in Survivor? No. Why would anyone at this point in Survivor keep their idol in their bag?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like checking bags at this point is the dumbest thing, because like
maybe, but
people at this point know that people are checking bags. Why are we not just like storing idols in our bra or in our underwear?
Yeah, I think it was valid though to look in the bag, just because apparently she was like married to that bag. She carried it everywhere, and that's what spurred it. You know, she did it to herself. Yeah.
I personally, as a Survivor player, if I checked someone's bag and didn't find anything, that would not make me feel any better.
Right. Yeah. But here's the thing: who's gonna have their idol in their bag is gonna be like Colby or you know,
also,
Coach.
Like,
you know,
they know that Aubrey went home with an idol in her pocket in 38, so it's not like completely like that they could be underestimating her. They could
Right. Well,
easily,
and that's why
which
Genevieve,
is good for her, low key.
yeah, Genevieve sent the idol to Ozzy for that very reason, because Ozzy went home with an
Exactly.
idol in his pocket. So if you're gonna have the same logic, she
She's
probably isn't
thinking
as
about that
threatened.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
So
And
why
they
is
have
she
the
gonna
numbers.
think that Aubrey is a step ahead of her and having it in her bra? You know.
Right.
Um,
Right. So who do you think Ingrid goes home if they go to tribal? Do you think it is
I think it
Genevieve,
could
or do you think
be.
it's
I don't
Avery?
know if she would take the shot at Genevieve immediately, because she would still have to go back to camp with those people.
Mhm.
And I do think that Genevieve is one of the best positioned people on that tribe, especially because she still has a vote. Obviously, like we were talking very highly of like Colby, Q, and Rizzo, and I think that's true. But 2 out of those 3 people don't have a vote right now.
Right.
So like as somebody who is connected and has power, I think Genevieve is in the best position right now on the tribe. So I don't know that it's necessarily the best go for Aubrey, just like in terms of connecting with those people afterwards.
Well, okay.
Which is kind of why I was thinking maybe she would go for somebody like Steph or even Rizzo. But
I would argue Steph's better connected than Genevieve, because Steph and Colby are like this. Like if you send home Steph, you upset Colby.
True.
I guess I don't know.
But I think
just
Colby
Like, I
and
don't think
Genevieve are
Genevieve is
also
as
pretty
tight with
close.
Steph or with Colby as they are with each other.
I don't know, but Genevieve, like every time that Genevieve is doing something, she's like, Steph, look at this. Steph, look at that. You know what
Honestly,
I mean?
of that 4, I think Q is the least
so
connected
far
of
that
that
we've
4.
seen since Kyle went home.
So
Like-
since Kyle went out, of that 4, I think Q is probably the least connected, because he also spent,
Yeah.
if everyone remembers, the first day he was with Ozzy and Coach. On
Right.
Exile, he was overnight. So Q didn't have that first full day, and that's why I think Q, if anyone's the most screwed over player of the season, it's going to be Q, because he got a terrible swap. We'll talk about it in a sec. He also had to start playing the game a day late. He didn't get to socialize with his tribe on day 1. Plus, he was in the middle of this Ozzy Coach thing, so they're going to be, either fighting over him, or people are just going to, he's going to want to stay out of the drama altogether and not be able to align with them. He's also just like in this alliance with Genevieve, Colby, and Steph, who I think are all closer with each other than they are with Q.
For
I think
sure.
Q is just someone that they want on their side also for strength, whereas
Like I think
he's much
I think
stronger than
Q's
Aubrey
connection to
and
that group was Kyle, because I think
Yeah.
Q and Kyle had something pre-game, just for how quickly that conversation was. Like
Yeah.
when Q gets to the camp and they're walking through the woods and they're like, "Oh, we're good," and Q's like, "Yeah, I know we're good." Like it felt very much like these two talked before they went out there.
Well, it could also be just like they are physically looking the strongest guys on the tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Colby has the immunity record, but it's like they are the 2 guys that are probably going to be doing most of the heavy lifting in that challenge with Colby. So and Steph, who I think Steph has been very impressive in challenges. I think that's one thing we forgot. Yes, she was on the disaster Oolong tribe, but she also survived that Oolong tribe, and then Guatemala, she's a runner-up. Like people don't kind of underestimate Steph's physical ability. I think that's the only thing she's good for in the season personally, but that's more of an outside opinion of it. Let's talk really quickly though about the blue tribe, because we really haven't gotten a ton of. Yeah, exactly. The green tribe, blue tribe. I don't know. I don't know what color they are. But
The Siam tribe,
yeah,
the
we get an
tribe.
alliance with Tiffany, Dee, and Camilla. We get alliances with Coach and Jonathan, and Coach and Charlie, and Jonathan and Chrissy and Coach. So a lot of different dynamics, but we don't really know exactly who all the targets would have been. We know Chrissy has been a name that's been floated out, and Dee's been a name that's been floating out. But that's kind of it. But Coach has been kind of looking like a buffoon a little bit, back to his old Coach ways, even though he is still in some control. Charlie's been getting pretty much nothing. Tiffany and Camilla have been getting little to nothing. Camilla got to speak on Kyle at the mat during the challenge, so there's at least something
Coach
there.
really did.
But yeah, I think really the only one on that tribe I think who's actually getting both a positive edit and a strategic edit is, oddly enough, Jonathan, which I think is crazy. But I think he is playing a much more strategic game in the sense that he's just making alliances, I guess. He's not really doing anything too crazy. I mean, he saved Coach in the water, saved his life, apparently. But what do you think of this tribe in their dynamic? Because also Mike White's floating around there, too, which I totally forgot.
A moment of revered silence for the Mike White abs situation.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm really excited about Jonathan right now, which is not something I have ever in my entire life thought I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited to see somebody like Jonathan go out there and actively try to do something different. Whether he succeeds or not, I don't really care, because I don't like Jonathan is not somebody that I like went in rooting for or anything, but I am excited to see. That's the type of thing that I want to see on 50 is people seeing what they did the first time and doing things differently to try to improve. Like, it's not necessarily second chance, but especially for these new era players, like, I think that is important, and I am happy to see Jonathan like using his brain, if you will, like, and I think he could be a surprise.
Yeah, which I will say, I saw something preseason where he claims he was using his brain and being strategic on 42. They just didn't show it. And he said that he was thankful. He said I saw somewhere he's like, I'm so happy about the edit they gave me in 42 because they didn't show me being strategic at all. So none of these people are going to be ready for when I'm strategic.
Yeah. I mean, being aligned with Omer and Omer having strategic conversations that you're standing with, like that's strategic, I guess. But it seems like he's actually going out of his way to actually do the active conversation building, which is cool. And then Charlie changing up his ways
from Omer.
Yeah, Charlie changing up his ways, doesn't want to play with an old lady, so he's targeting Chrissy.
Well, he said he wanted to, but that Chrissy is off-putting people, therefore he can't go with his original.
Which I do like that he's thinking about other people's perceptions of people.
Yeah, the only thing I think Charlie has said, aside from talking about a foot-toe ring of coaches, but really disappointed that Charlie, who is like the best player to not win in the new era by many people's standards, is getting such a little edit. Camilla and Tiffany makes a little bit more sense just because, like, they are also not as well ingrained with their tribes, and that tribe hasn't been going to tribal, but it is a bit shocking that this tribe has so many under-edited people, and even Chrissy, who everyone's been talking about, didn't get a single confessional last week either. It's just really a shame because I do like a lot of these personalities on this tribe, but I think right now it's just been Coach with a lot of Jonathan, a lot of Mike White, a little bit of D, and everything else. Chrissy's been in the conversation, but not really getting to share her opinion either, so...
I think we've been talking a lot about like the edit and like who's getting screen time and who's not. And I think something to like for us to be thinking about moving forward is like there's two types of screen time at the beginning of a season, right? There's people who are getting a lot of screen time because they're going to win or they're going to make the end game. And there's people who are getting a lot of screen time because they're going home soon and there isn't an opportunity for them to get screen time later. So when we're looking at these tribes that haven't been to tribal, like I think look at this blue, teal, whatever tribe, and I kind of think of like Luvu in 41, where like everybody except for Sydney in that tribe makes like the merge, and most of them make the end game. And so they weren't getting a lot of screen time at the beginning because they didn't lose.
True.
Ever. And that tribe never swapped. So like obviously I hope that we don't have like a super under edited winner like Erica was, for example. But like I'm not ready to count anybody out that isn't getting a lot of content because it could just be that they're not part of the narrative yet. True. And they're gonna take over the narrative for somebody else.
Yeah. I think to like I think of like
even Angelina.
I think about like in Cambodia where like in those first few episodes Jeff Varda is just like dominating the screen time.
Yeah.
And then in episode 4 he's gone. In Game Changers, Malcolm is like dominating screen time.
True.
Gone in episode like 3 or 4. Like
they have to use them while they have
like
them.
I fear I'm gonna make my bold prediction.
Coach.
I fear that's gonna be like Mike White.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
It'll be Mike White. Even Jonathan
we're being given and fed as much Mike White as possible because he's this big celebrity that they have on the season.
And he's a great storyteller. He's just giving the confessionals that
he's entertaining.
He's entertaining. He's great. Like, but I feel like they're pushing as much Mike White out as they can before they lose him.
We could be in a situation where, because you said Angelina's with both Mike and Christian on the Swap Tribe.
Yeah.
We could be in a situation where the other people on that tribe are afraid of that and they get rid of Mike. And that's why we're seeing so much Mike and not so much Angelina, because then maybe her story is bouncing back from that.
Yeah.
Or
people think,
which she's made it very clear in the preseason. She's with Mike.
Yes.
Not Christian.
Yes.
And that's the thing also is like, yes, that 3 may band together, but there are still 4 other people. And I mean, as much as we believe Emily and Christian are so tight, Emily's the type of player to flip. Emily's last name is flipping. Yeah. So, and another thing with that teal tribe too is like, and the thing with confessionals, it's not even like, oh damn, they're not getting confessionals, they're not gonna win. It's not ruling them out of winner contention. It's more so just like, this is 50. I want to see everyone every second.
Oh, I
every
need that
moment,
Diva Alliance to be the final 3.
And that's the thing, yeah. As someone who was excited to see like, obviously like I mean, not as much Charlie, but like Camilla. I'm like, I want more Camilla. I want more Tiffany. Like, these are the players I really want to see more of. But also, there's something to be said about new school, old school. It's a lot of the new schoolers who are getting under edited, or like Chrissy and Angelina who are more middle school. So I definitely see the need to like maybe prioritize showing a lot of the old schoolers, especially because circumstantially, you know, who's getting the idol? It's Ozzy and it's Aubrey, and who's feuding? It's Ozzy and Coach, and who's making these big alliances, Colby and Steph. Like, I think there's circumstantial editing as well that we have to look at too. So I don't want to look too deep. But who do you think the boot is though? If Blue were to go to tribal,
can you pull up the graphic? Old Blue.
I got you. Yeah. If
Who goes with Old Blue?
Yeah,
Chrissy.
You think it's Chrissy?
Just because
why are they so mad?
Like I'm so thankful for this swap because I think it can only help Chrissy. Yeah. But all 3 of those women want Chrissy.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to like how good did Chrissy get with Jonathan, Coach and
Mike.
Not Charlie,
Mike.
The other one, Mike.
Mike.
How good is Chrissy with them versus, and also where does Charlie swing? Does Charlie swing to that side, or can those women pull Charlie in? And then if those women pull Charlie in, do they pull like a Mike in?
Yeah, see, I honestly think Chrissy would have been okay because we saw so much of her with Jonathan and Coach in that first episode. I think D's the one in trouble. Just because I think if given the option, I know Chrissy's going D. I could see Coach, Mike White, and Jonathan all going D, and then all you need is one more vote. And maybe Charlie doesn't go D out of friendship, but maybe Charlie just throws his vote away on someone like Camilla or something. I really don't know, but I think also Charlie and Coach are so close, we forget that they're in a little band with Ben Katzman.
Yeah.
So
well, I also wonder how much they want to keep D for challenges if they don't know that a swap's coming.
True.
D is probably after
she's their
Jonathan.
Strongest woman, for sure.
I think she's their second strongest person,
right?
Period. After Jonathan.
That's actually a good point. And Camilla, you need for puzzles, so it's like
and then you don't need Chrissy and Camilla for puzzles.
And the good thing about Camilla is like because Kyle just left, that is not a part of their issue anymore. Like they don't have to worry about Camilla and Kyle reconnecting in any way, which is amazing for Camilla.
Yeah, I think Camilla went from being like on my radar for like first boot on her tribe to like I don't see a world where she doesn't make the merge, because also she's gonna have a swap where she like has a few more options that aren't just D and Tiffany, and between D and Tiffany she was never gonna be the first boot when D's there, still because D's the biggest target, and even then like I really
think D and Chrissy were ahead of Camilla in the target pecking order,
and especially with Kyle gone, like that, like as sad as it sounds, Kyle leaving was the best thing for Camilla's game.
I know. Sorry for Kyle, but he's all better now, and he still has $1 million, so he'll be okay.
Is there anything with the Teal tribe left that we need to mention? Okay, why don't we talk about these swap tribes then and kind of make predictions for going forward? Obviously, my power rankings I'll be doing with Zach.
Oh my god, gotta bring it closer so I can see it.
We're gonna be doing power rankings with Zach on TikTok, so I'll be giving my rankings to like the actual order and how I think things are gonna go. But we can talk about who's like in the most danger on each tribe and who we think can link up. Let's look at the Sela tribe. Obviously, with Jonathan, there's a very likely chance they don't go to tribal. But if we're getting double boots, then like all options are on the table because Jonathan's tribe, the original Kahlo, was kind of finishing second in all the challenges. It was Vatu winning a lot of them. So there's actually a chance that Jonathan's tribe could lose, but I think he's the safest one, and it's really going to be whoever he wants to align with, I feel, just because they can't get rid of him for strength. And we saw Rizzo and Charlie bonding a little bit in the preview. D's been a name that's been floated around as a target, but D is also friends with Camilla. I could see a world where D and Suri link up because they're big threats. We see Suri and Devons are friends are on their tribe. And then obviously the podcasters of Devons, Charlie, and D are all co-hosts of the On Fire podcast. And preseason, I think it was Devons or D who said they wanted all the other On Fire.
All three.
They all said it about each other. Yeah. So
okay, so are we looking at one of those three being the first boot if this tribe were to go, or do you think it's an easy Rizzo out, or do you think they dogpile on like Suri or Devons? How do you think this goes? If they like, what do you think the dynamics look like?
That's the one that I'm the least. I'm trying to look at the other ones too. I feel like that's the one I feel the least certain on because just because there's the four teal, but like they weren't really a tight like Jonathan. I feel like maybe his closest is Charlie, but I feel like even then, like, he was closer to all of the other three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before he was closer to Charlie. So you have like that Camilla D thing, which like I feel like has to matter since they showed it to us. So I'm wondering if like those are two that like link up with like a Suri and Devins, and then maybe I honestly think Charlie could be in danger.
Really,
Like
I'm
I would worry
scared
about Charlie and
for-
Rizzo.
I'm scared for Rizzo. I'm really scared for Rizzo because not just because he's the only one here on his tribe, but also because he is their unknown. And none of these people have been with him yet, like there's a world where they're like, we don't want to learn who he's about.
Yeah,
but
I will say
he could also social his way through it the way he did with the Batu tribe if he has enough time.
Yeah. I will say I saw in one of Savannah's exit interviews that she said that on her tribe, she was telling everyone that Rizzo was like a super loyal player. She was like, yeah, he's young, but like he was like ride or die for his people. She just didn't tell everyone that she was his people.
But the other side of that is, could they see that and be like, oh my god, if he gets back with the old tribe, he's gonna leave us for
Potentially.
That. True. Yeah, because I honestly think it's an easy vote if you want it to be, but also like D being a winner, does that kind of perk up Rizzo and Devins' ears? And
I would hope so.
I think Devins might be coming hard for D. I think Devins would rather D out than Charlie, maybe. But again, how much say does Devins have? Because he also has that fake idol play if he really wants to. And another thing we haven't really talked about, Kahlo Beach, we haven't found the boomerang yet, and if there's another one on there, look at all these players that could get it. Maybe there's a world where we see someone find the boomerang and
oh my god, can Colby get it and send it to Rizzo?
Please!
That's what I'm thinking.
That's actually my dream.
But the for me, in my opinion, the odds of Colby finding
you don't understand. You don't understand. This is my dream.
But here's the thing: no matter who finds the idol, if there is a tribe where there's one person isolated on every tribe, there's someone
like
isolated.
Genevieve probably sends it to him too.
Yeah, well, there's Rizzo is the only one on Sela from his original tribe. Joe is the only one on Kahlo from his original tribe, and Mike is the only one from Batu on his original tribe.
Of
those three,
really
I think
even swap.
I think people are more likely to send some help for Rizzo than they are Joe or Mike White, because no one really needs to help out Mike White, because Mike White doesn't need any help in life. He's got money, and then Joe, if it's anyone on Orange, they're not giving it to Joe. So, like, let's say Emily Flippin finds the boomerang idol, she would probably send it to Devins. Let me pick a different person, but like, okay,
yeah, no one on Orange is sending it to.
Okay,
Rizzo,
like
Ozzy's giving it to Suri, and the other two are giving it to Devins.
Okay, then what if Mike White finds it? Like, Mike White could just send, because his best friend Angelina's on his tribe. I mean, he could send it to Coach for fun, but I could also see a world where he sends it to Rizzo, because he's like, Rizzo's on his own. Let's give him. Because also it's the idea of they also could give Rizzo the idol, thinking he's the odd man out. He goes home with an idol in his pocket. You get the idol. So that's another thing too. You could try to doom Rizzo as well. Like if Coach gets it, Coach could be like, I'm giving Rizzo the idol. They're gonna vote out Rizzo, and I'm gonna get the idol. You know, I could definitely see a world where that happens. But then what happens is Rizzo doesn't go home, and then Rizzo just has an idol, and then takes Coach out. Like I could see that happening for sure.
Yeah, and then Rizzo does the same
I was gonna
thing
say,
he did last season.
It's actually so good for Rizzo that nobody knows that he did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, could you imagine Rizzo just doing it again?
Yeah, and we know Rizzo and Charlie are talking in the preview, and Charlie says something along the lines of like, "It's insane." Do we think one of them gets the boomerang, or
maybe.
I don't know? Maybe that's just been my theory. Is like I think one of these three loners might get a boomerang idol thrown their way just because they got a bad swap. But I don't even think this is a bad swap for Rizzo. I think Rizzo is someone who could be malleable. I think Joe is someone who could be malleable. I think Mike White is someone who could be malleable. Like I really think all three of them being the lone man out is not the worst thing for them, because then we can transition to Vatu, where like Mike White is with Christian and Angelina, and obviously there was some question of whether or not Angelina and Christian were close or not. But in preseason, Angelina said she loved Christian. It's not until postseason where she says she doesn't. So I don't know if you want to read into that or not, but I do.
Well, it's also, it feels even more specifically, it's postseason after she's seen his preseason.
True, very true, very true. But I do think the three of them are an obvious like link up, at least for like the first vote or two. Because here's the thing: if you go to tribal, especially if we're getting double boots, chances are all these tribes are going to go at least once, some of them twice. And I do think the one that doesn't have Jonathan could go twice. So like if Vatu goes more than once, like they could band together for one vote. But then after that, who knows? Maybe Ozzy pulls out his idol. Maybe they just can't get rid of Steph for strength. Maybe they can't get rid of Q for strength. I think Steph and Q are in the worst position just because if you look at it, Ozzy has an idol, then the 3 David versus Goliaths, and then Emily's with Christian. I think the odd people out are Steph and Q. But also, we don't know exactly how Steph and Angelina got along. We really don't know if Christian is going to want to stay loyal to Emily and Ozzy. Also, because Emily and Ozzy are not the best of friends either, if we remember. So I think this could go more directions than people are just kind of saying easy Steph or Q boot. I think there are some roads to be made. The only problem is Q doesn't have a vote. And I think that's what makes Q more likely to go home here. But then after that, I don't know if Stephanie's the easy out or if they try to pivot and maybe Christian, Emily flip on Ozzy or flip on Angelina. You know, like I think there's a lot of
I think
roads.
they flip. I could see where they flip on Mike White. Maybe Steph, Christian, Ozzy, Emily come together.
They could, yeah.
Like Emily, Ozzy, Steph in particular. Like one of like we need you, Christian, to like show your loyalty to us
by getting rid of
one of these other two.
Yeah. Could you see that even happening in the first vote? Because Q's vote doesn't matter because Q doesn't have a vote. But you could still have the 4 of them voting Mike or Angelina out. That'd be crazy. And I could see why then Angelina would not be the fondest of Christian. Because Christian did hint at it when he was going to give his boomerang up. He was like, imagine if Angelina got it. And I was like, oh, he's definitely going to be poking fun at Angelina this season. Because also Angelina and Christian didn't really work together on their season. Christian was part of that big idol play that got out John Hennigan. So, I think Mike and Angelina are more likely link up. But I just, for me, I haven't really seen a reason for people to want to target Mike, but it could just be easy by numbers. And then Ozzy with the idol, it's also the question of if Ozzy uses the idol and everyone goes for Ozzy, who does Ozzy go for? And who does he
what
vote
I'm
out
worried about for Ozzy is does he have the social awareness to know they're coming for him now that Cerie's not with him? Like back when he had Cerie could be like, Ozzy, they coming for you.
Yeah.
And he could play it. But now he's separated from her.
They coming for you.
Is there a world where Emily, Christian, Emily and the David versus Goliaths are like, let's just get Ozzy out now, because Stephanie knows that idol is in Ozzy's pocket. So maybe Stephanie tips Angelina off. And maybe Angelina knows. Who knows? We don't really know where Angelina lies in her tribe. But the thing is, Stephanie knows Ozzy has an idol. So that's the big kicker here, is the only person who knew Ozzy had an idol was Ozzy. And Genevieve. Yeah. And now all of Genevieve's allies, like Colby and Steph. So I do think her telling Steph and Colby was an essential part of the edit to that will probably come back around here. But that's fair. So you think the first boot here is Mike White?
Or Q. I don't know which one. Yeah. Q or Mike.
I think Q is the easy vote because he doesn't have a vote. And him and Angelina
I think
don't love each other and things like that.
I also think if it's an Ozzy idol play, I think Ozzy's more likely to take out Q.
That's true. Yeah, because he's not going to take out Steph.
Just for numbers in terms of get out of pink. But I could see him going for Mike too because Blue hasn't lost anyone yet. So maybe he does it in that regard.
Those queer allies though, you need the two gays to band together. So I don't know though. Maybe Emily, but also Ozzy. Does he know Emily's floating her name because Cerie probably told Ozzy that Emily was going for her. So
I wonder if
I can see where Emily
knows
that
it's specifically Emily, or if Ozzy just thinks it's those three.
Yeah, I don't know. This I think is more interesting than people would originally think. Yeah. I think because there's no vote for Q.
I don't think anything is cut and dry with that group because none of those people, other than like Emily and Christian, none of those people were like super close to the people from their original tribe that are with them.
True. Yeah, like even Q and Steph are not like
on Kahlo.
Yeah, let's talk about Kahlo.
I worry the most for Genevieve.
Yeah, I do too. Because here's the thing, Aubrey, even if people dogpile on Aubrey, because we saw from the preview, Aubrey's pissed off about something. If they all go for Aubrey has the idol, and I think Aubrey would play the idol. And I think she just wants Genevieve out. And it sucks because, I don't think they take Joe out because of strength. And even if he's pissing people off, I think he has enough people there that would play the loyalty game. Like, I think Colby and Coach are going to like Jonathan.
Being here with Joe or with Colby and Coach is
the only dangerous thing for Joe is I know Joe was Genevieve's number one target preseason.
Yeah, but if she comes out the gate swinging,
that could pull Colby away from Joe.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Colby doesn't have a vote. Colby doesn't have a vote. So Joe could easily link up with the 3 previous Kahlos and be like, hey guys, let's go for Genevieve or Colby. And Aubrey's like, sure. But then maybe that's where things go wrong. And then Aubrey's like, what the heck, guys? I'm playing with idiots, Because, I think Genevieve is here with someone who doesn't like her and then someone who doesn't have a vote. And everyone else, like, I don't know how likely it is that like Coach works with Genevieve. Tiffany could. I think Tiffany
Yeah, I
could.
think
I think
Tiffany
Chrissy
could.
could. But again, I don't really know. Chrissy seems to want to align with the guys. Is what I've gathered. I think she wants to be with Coach, and Coach would probably wanted to be with Joe. The question here is going to be Coach and Colby, because as we remember in Heroes vs Villains, they were partnered up against each other in the first challenge, going neck and neck, beating each other up. How is their relationship going to be on Kahlo? Because we haven't really seen them interact. Because Coach went home before they merged in Heroes vs Villains. Do you think they would work together or no?
I think they would. I think they were very friendly on that opening mat. Like it seemed like there was like a good like rapport with them, and I feel like I might be wrong, but I feel like I remember one of them, like I think it was Coach in in one of his preseason interviews, like saying like, "Oh, I love Colby."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I feel like they're good.
Yeah. I'm worried for Genevieve, but I do think there are roads where she could try to link up with like Tiffany. Maybe you do try to repair the Aubrey thing and say, hey, listen, we have to band together because. Mm-hmm. But like, who do you target? Obviously, she's going to try to push for Joe. Maybe there is a world where Aubrey would get on board with voting out Joe, though, because I don't
think Aubrey would mesh well with. Well, I mean, she did play very well with a different Joe.
True. And that guy was loyal to a fault.
And that Joe, that Joe was very similar. I could see Aubrey and this Joe getting along very well.
The gastrointestinal distress Joe from Korong, yeah. Except
I could actually see Aubrey working really closely with Joe.
Yeah. So maybe Joe just joins the Vatu 3 then, and they just go after Chrissy, because Chrissy has been. Here's the thing with the edit, it's like. They're setting up. The fact that they said that Chrissy, Angelina, and Rizzo were being annoying, and only Rizzo got to talk about it, makes me feel really worried for Chrissy and Angelina in the short term.
Yeah.
I think Chrissy and Angelina, for me, are probably pre-merge boots, but Angelina had such a good swap, so I'm like, I really don't know, but I could really see a world where Joe just joins the 3 Vatus to get rid of Chrissy, but also the Coach element of like, is Coach going to want to play a loyal game with Colby and Joe? Yeah. Maybe it's just a unanimous Chrissy boot. It could be unanimous Chrissy.
No, he's. Oh yeah.
They need somebody else because Colby doesn't have a vote, so they would need Tiff to flip, or they would need Coach to flip.
Yeah.
True.
So I wonder if Aubrey and Joe join Chrissy,
and
Coach, and get rid of Genevieve.
Yeah, and she doesn't.
I don't think that they're gonna see Colby as a threat.
That's
and
he's
doing he's not doing bad in the challenges right now, so it's not like they're gonna be like, oh, he's a liability.
Yeah. And
if I could see this tribe going to tribal twice.
Yeah,
and I could
see them saying Coach is a liability.
Yeah, I mean, I could. Yeah, I could see it being like Genevieve Colby, Genevieve Coach, Coach Colby.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna see like Chrissy, Tiffany, Aubrey, and Joe. I think that'll be our 4.
Yeah. You think Chrissy makes it in the 4? Because Chrissy and Tiffany was also annoyed at Chrissy, correct?
Yeah, but I feel like it was less Tiff, and I feel like Tiff was there, and I feel like it was more D and Camilla saying Chrissy's name. And I feel like Tiffany was more like, I don't really talk to Chrissy, but who knows? In a swap, maybe she talks more to Chrissy now.
Right. Because in a swap, you get forced into different relationships. I mean, and Genevieve could be one of those people that got a lot of screen time in the first couple episodes because she's not going to be around very long.
I could see Aubrey and Chrissy working very well together in particular.
Yeah, because they are kind of the ones who are being outcast on their tribes right now. So I think that is actually a good, and Joe, a good coming together point. And I guess then you scoop up Coach because Coach is already tight with Chrissy. Yeah, I can see that being your 4. Joe,
that could be the 4 instead of Tiff.
And Coach, because I think Tiff is not necessarily the biggest. I mean, Tiff, you always see Tiff making faces at Coach. I feel like this is very like Q coded of like Tiff. If she doesn't have to, she doesn't want to work with Coach. Very interesting. So we think Sela. They go for maybe Charlie, maybe D, maybe Rizzo is where we're looking. So Suri feels okay, right? We feel okay with Suri?
I would be really surprised if Suri went home this early, just because I don't see these people banding together to get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, unless
they keep losing.
Unless this blue 4, unless Charlie, D, Jonathan, Camilla come together as a 4, I feel fine for Suri.
Yeah, and even
then, I think there's a world they target Devins first.
Yeah, I'd say even then, I feel like they get rid of Rizzo and Devins before they get rid of Suri.
Yeah, I could see a world where if they do come together, those 4, they go for Devins. Devins does his fake idol gimmick, and they pivot to Rizzo last minute or something. Yeah. I don't think it's or they pivot to one of their own. And then if Kahlo goes, we're saying we're looking at it probably Genevieve boot, maybe.
maybe a Colby.
Maybe a
And then
Honestly, there's so many ways it could go.
if we're really not, if we really don't think that this is just going to fully shake up, then maybe a Chrissy boot.
Yeah, and then
Like if it ends up being like Tiff, Aubrey, Genevieve, Joe vote together for Chrissy,
we
but
think Tiff
I see it more likely that Chrissy and Aubrey end up working together.
Yeah, we think Tiff slides in with whoever is in power. Like Tiff is okay because Tiff is in that alliance with Dee and Camilla. She doesn't have anyone closely aligned with, but I think Tiff is
but because I don't think they know that that's an alliance. I don't still see anyone targeting Tiffany.
Okay,
there's not really good reason unless it's this like odd one out situation.
Yeah, and then
Vatu, I think it's
Q,
Mike or Q,
Angelina, or Mike,
or Angelina.
Yeah, wow.
Or Ozzy if he doesn't play it.
I would be surprised still if it's Angelina, just because we've seen so little of her.
I think the people that are safe are Christian and Emily.
Yes,
and I get Steph. Like edit wise, I'm not worried for Steph edit wise.
Yeah, and I think even if Steph could be the next boot if they all just tag team and go after Q, then I'll be worried for Steph. But I don't think they ever go for Steph before they go for Q unless Q pulls out an idol. Which again, boomerang idol, anything can happen. And I think that's what's cool is like because we now know. Kahlo has to find one, assuming there's still one out there. You know who? Okay, let's just go down the.
Who's sending it to Q?
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Let's go down the line. Chrissy, if she finds, let's assume they swap and it's still on Kahlo. It could be before they swap too, and someone like Jonathan can find it or whatever.
Chrissy, I think sends it to Jonathan.
I would agree. Either Jonathan or maybe like Charlie. Yeah. Who does Coach send it to?
Ozzy. I'm kidding.
Maybe to doom him though.
Coach probably also sends it to Jonathan.
Iconic social king Jonathan.
Tiffany sends it to D.
Probably.
I think she probably thinks that D has the bigger target.
She sends it to D or Camilla. I think she's more worried about D.
And so these are all
unless she sends it to Q thinking he'll go home with it.
Well, that's the thing. You can think of trust but it seems like I think people are more likely to send it to someone that they can work with in the merge.
I think more people are going to send it to someone they want to work with.
Aubrey, if she finds it, does she send it back? Well, she doesn't know who sent it to her, but
she could send it to Rizzo.
I think maybe Rick
She's
Devens.
someone that I think is a potential Rizzo candidate. She
Devens,
might try to think of who sent it to her
and try to send one back.
And she could send it to Sir. I know she's very high on Suri.
Yeah,
she was very high on Suri preseason.
Yo, if Suri gets an idol from Aubrey immediately jumps up in my estimates as just a favorite. Because Aubrey right now, I like Aubrey, but this season she's not one of my favorites.
Anyone who sends an idol to Suri is my favorite.
Oh my God.
Who does Colby send his to? Rizzo or Steph?
Rizzo.
I think Rizzo. I think he's gonna think that Rizzo needs more help than Steph.
I think it's either one.
Ingrid, the fact that you put that out there, I hope that happens. I hope Colby finds it.
That's my dream.
I'm pretty sure I said it, but you just want it more than I do.
That's my dream.
I thought Ingrid said it, and then you were like, "There's no world where Colby finds an idol," right?
No, I said it, and then Ingrid was like, "Oh my God, I need that to happen." I said, "But Colby's not finding it,"
which is so rude of you to put it out there and then immediately take it away from you.
I know.
Genevieve, who does she send her second boomerang to?
It to Steph.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if she sends it to Rizzo
or Q.
She would send it to Rizzo.
Yeah.
Just because he's alone, but because of how the question is, does she try to play it the same way she played the Aussie one or not?
Joe would be so mad if he found it.
I think Genevieve sends it to Q because she knows if Q goes home, she gets it, and if Q doesn't go home, then she has Q. I think
Genevieve's the one who is gonna send it to someone that she thinks is getting voted out with it, so she could send it to Q.
I think Genevieve sent it. Honestly, that would be the ideal scenario is CeeLo wins immunity, Kahlo and Vatu are both going to tribal, Genevieve finds the idol, sends it to Q, Q goes out with the idol in her pocket, goes back to Genevieve for her to use at tribal, Genevieve and Aubrey both play their idols, Joe goes home. That is my ideal episode. If that happens tomorrow,
that is insane.
That is going to be the best episode I've ever seen.
So angry if that happens.
Here's my question. Question. Does it boomerang back that fast? Like, if they're going to tribal in the same night...
Yeah, I don't think it boomerangs that fast.
Can Q get voted out in the first tribal, and that idol end up in Genevieve's bag before she gets there?
Let's say Ozzy is the one who goes home in Vaatu first, and the
Mm-hmm.
idol is just out there. I think because of the fulfillment of wanting the Billie Eilish Boomerang idol to be a moment on the show, I could see them putting it in the voting booth and being like, "Congratulations, you
It could be
received
in
your
the voting
idol.
booth.
True.
The
That's
person
fair.
you gifted it to got
Because they
voted
have
out."
to play it after
Yeah.
the votes are cast.
Yeah.
so.
Or they'll
I
have
could
the
see
whole.
it going in the booth.
I don't know how it works with them walking to tribal, but I could see them walking to tribal, doing like an 8 p.m. tribal, and then at 10 p.m. before the other group walks, they give it to them on their way out. I don't really know how it works, but and then Joe, if he finds the idol,
He cries. He's
has
so
he
mad.
found an idol? Did he find an idol on 48?
No.
No. Okay.
I
Who do you
could
think he gives it to?
see-
Cole, a little bit Ozzy, maybe.
I was gonna say Ozzy. I also low key think he could send it to Jonathan, thinking that Jonathan is like minded.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
Camilla,
he could-
or is he scarred
He
by
could
Camilla?
send it to
No,
Chris.
I think he's sore on Camilla.
He could send it to Christian. He had a good talk with Christian.
Christian
that, like,
was
with the
rocking
hammock.
him to sleep. Yes.
Yeah.
I think he would send it to Christian.
Yeah, I could see a world where he sends it to Suri too.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen like a
True.
super strong relationship, but I could see a world where if he felt like, if he could tell that, like, no, he wouldn't send it to Suri. Never mind, because he was the one very, very out on noticing Suri and Ozzy were close and worrying that was a new Kyle and Camilla situation. So I take
Yeah.
that back. He didn't send
No,
it.
I don't. He is not sending it to Camilla. Every single one of his confessionals is like,
The only
they
person,
duped me.
the only person on this tribe that sends it to Suri is Aubrey, and therefore I now want Aubrey to find it.
There you go.
No,
I still want
still
want
want
Genevieve to find it. Give it to Q. Q get voted out. Genevieve get it for the next tribal. So
Nope.
the last
Colby
question.
needs to find it.
The last question, do we think it is one? I mean, Austin, I know we saw the photo of only the one idol, but do you think it could be a double boot, or do you think it's going to be a single boot? Because also, where are they going to make up the time, you know?
I'm like, especially now with this whole Boomerang idol situation, I'm really wondering if we don't get doubles until the merge,
Which I
and then we just
hate.
we get like a couple of split tribals, or I feel like there's got to be at least
I hate
one.
split tribal.
I was talking to a friend in a group chat, a Survivor group chat, and someone was bringing up that I don't know if this math is right, but they said they only need 2 doubles.
All I know is that 3 people have gone home in 6 days.
That we need 1 pre-swap and 1 post-swap, or one pre-merge, 1 post-merge. I don't know if that's true. I haven't
At
done the
least
math
one
on it.
double pre. Yeah, I don't know, and who knows? Maybe the finale, they're just going to expedite things. Maybe instead of fire making, maybe you do also the Cook Islands thing where you have someone go home and then you're like, we're going to compete for another immunity right now and have another tribal right now.
That would be fun.
I would prefer that to a split tribal.
I agree, because also then
I hate
you could
when
have a
they're
live
merged
tribal.
and then you split people up. Like that's.
I will
just
say the only
frustrating.
world where I won't hate it is I think we're getting an early merge. Like, I'm thinking
yeah.
15. So I wouldn't mind if they voted someone out at 15 and then did a split at 14, because 14 at least it's 7 and 7. It's this size tribes.
But I'm also like, then why did we merge?
I
That's
know.
stupid.
right. Well, and
That's
I always
what
call
has been so frustrating for me about the new era is that they'll do a merge, a Tory, whatever tribal, and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're in tribes again.
yeah.
And none of that
I
matters.
just
And
call that a
by the way,
glorified
neither
tribe
one of
swap.
these people are going to be on the jury. Like,
Yeah,
what are we doing?
It's a tribe swap because they're literally just swapping tribes. It's just
Yeah.
they're all on the same beach. It's
Like,
one
call it what
world.
it is, I guess,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
how I feel.
Yeah, but that was great. Yeah, I like looking at those new tribes. Either way, I think this really shakes up the game. I don't think anyone is majorly
Yes.
benefited or majorly screwed. The only one who I think is as good in a position as they always were was probably like Coach and Christian. So and they're like 2 of the people getting the biggest edits right now. Not necessarily winners edits for Coach, but right now, if you had to predict, I know preseason. Ingrid, you were on the Tiffany train. Austin and I were on the Suri train. Right now, if you had to call, not even based on the edit, but just like who you're rooting for necessarily, has your winner prediction or pick changed at all, Ingrid?
Yeah.
Not Tiff?
Love my queen, but I don't see it for her just yet. Even though I would love that for her. I'm still gonna say I think I'm going to root for Christian, 1, for the sake of my fantasy, and 2, because he is getting a really positive edit and some. You don't gotta put it back up, bro.
Sorry.
So, in case for the viewers at home, Jenna and Savannah gave me a total of -1 points. So I'm in a really great spot right now. So hey, Tiff and Christian final 2. But. Yeah, I would love to see Christian do really well. I just think he's an incredible human, regardless, and would deserve the win. And he's getting good screen time.
Cool. Austin, are you still on Suri train?
I am. I'm manifesting it. So yes, I have to be.
Yeah.
I will say if I wasn't manifesting it, Aubrey's up there for me still, which she was preseason.
Mhm.
Christian's up there, but I feel this would have to be like a Tony Vlachos level of Winners at War edit for Christian for him to already be like.
That's the thing. He's getting a lot right now.
He's so like if he is continuing, I would love it. I love Christian Mickey. Like I would love for him to just like absolutely like be able to just roll through this thing. But yeah, I'm still picking Suri. I will say in general, there is not a single person on this cast I don't like. And I could not say that before. But like I was down on Jonathan, I was down on Q. Like not necessarily it's been in terms of like every cast, but like preseason I was not. There were people on this cast I was like, I really wish they put someone else here in your place.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've walked that back on everyone. Like there are people I would have loved to see. Like I would have loved like a Jesse here instead of maybe a Q or a Jonathan, like just because of like how good of a game Jesse played.
Yeah.
But like they are still like Jonathan and Q in particular, like two that I'm mainly thinking of that are still really giving a lot more for me, and I'm liking them a lot more than I did last time.
Yeah.
Rick Devens for me is someone who I said that I wasn't a big fan of, who I'm liking more this season.
Yeah, me too. I love Devens this season, and I think it's maybe because on his season he was so cocky, but it was also like you already got voted out, and like you're playing from the bottom. Here he's playing from the top, and he's just having fun with it, and I kind of like the puppet master kind of just causing mayhem because you can better than
what I discovered about my true issues with Rick Devens the first time. It's not his fault at all. Is what I've realized. I don't love the Ron Clark one where he's like, you just want to make me look stupid in front of my kids. Like, I don't love that one. But what I've discovered my real issue with Devens back then was how much the fan community was hyping him up as like this player that like has to win the season and is so good. And I'm like, he's consistently on the bottom. And yes, it's impressive that he's finding idols and saving himself. But even in doing that, like he doesn't even vote for Ron Clark in the Ron Clark boot. He votes for Aurora.
Yeah.
That's not his, like, none of this is his doing. And he claps when Ron gets voted out like he did it.
Yeah, and I think it's just also the twist of the season being like, because of the edge, it's like, you wouldn't have even been here had it not been for the twist. But that's also to be said about the winner, and I think he plays a much better game.
But I also would much rather have had him win than the person who won Edge
Yes,
Extinction,
I agree.
So.
I agree. And also, I was such a Victoria truther that like I just wanted to
well, yes, me too.
That's why I came into this season anti-Aubrey and Rick, is because I love Victoria so much. But now, watching this, I'm like, I really do love Rick. And I got choked up seeing Aubrey have her idol moment. So, all these players that I wasn't high on, Jonathan too, like so many players I'm really coming around on, which is really, really cool. And honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Kyle for third chance. Like what a great game he had done in just his few days there. I really think he would have gone the furthest.
Super impressive.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be D, and D did make it the furthest of all the winners, but just because her tribe was winning, because she was probably the easiest target of the three early out the gates. So sad, but maybe we'll do a captain season a la Edge of Extinction someday where Kyle and Jenna just get to come back and be coaches.
Kyle and Jenna's
when Jenna's like 57,
right? And then we'll bring back two other players, maybe Jesse, Carolyn, Kyle, and Jenna Lewis. I
fear they will never return because of how publicly they bash CBS. But
we'll Jesse not as much because he did the hands on a heart idol thing for CBS a few weeks ago. So Carolyn I think is out. I don't think Carolyn's come back for Survivor unless she really like. The producers are like, we need her on,
which I could see them doing. I could see them being like, Carolyn is such a huge person that we need to bring her back.
But even at this point, because of Traders, I think people got their fix of Carolyn, where I don't necessarily know if people are clamoring for her to come. I think before Traders, it was like, no, we need Carolyn back. And then you got her on Traders. It was like, all right, we got to see her again.
Stan, I will say, I'm good with where we're at right now.
I do feel pretty confident that we will get Amanda Kimmel back.
We will. Okay, yeah. I hope so.
She was literally on the cast. She refused to go because Ozzy was there.
Well, I know, but I'm also like, when are we gonna see? I'm worried for people that are like pre-20 moving forward in Survivor.
Yeah, like this is probably it for Vesepia and Sean and Rob's sister. Nina,
like I just can't. I struggle with the idea that
want Sean
as we get further and further away from those first 20 seasons, that like those people are going to be asked, that those people are going to still have it, like all of those things.
I get that
because
I'm only saying that we're getting Amanda Kimmel because she was literally on the cast.
Yeah, but I also
Yeah,
am
she only
like,
backed out because of another contestant, not because she couldn't do
which
it.
is
or they
crazy,
didn't
by
want
the
her.
way. I want to know what's going on there.
And apparently we got Aubrey from it. So
Yep.
I
Aubrey
want
was
to know
an
what's going
alternate.
on there, low key. But like, I don't know. I just think that, like, unless 60 is another big thing where they want everybody from 1 to 60 coming back, like, I just
think
don't
52.
see it.
I think 52's returnees.
But I don't.
Honestly.
But I don't know that it's going to be. I think that is more of a like a new era returnee
fans
season or
versus
something,
favorites
or
or
post Game Changers, for
It
example.
could be. I don't
Like,
know.
I don't know. I don't
I think
see
it'll
a
be-
world where we get a lot of super
What
old school players.
What I
anymore.
remember reading was Jeff saying that like the next returnee season, and he said that we would not have to wait all the way till 60 for the next one.
Good.
So I don't know
'cause-
if it's 55 or if it's like as soon as 52. But I remember him saying that like their top priority are the people that they cut super late into the process of 50.
Cool.
And I know that includes Amanda. That includes. I mean, I doubt we get Jerry Manthe, but I know that would include Jerry Manthe. Jonathan Penner said that he, like, I saw him post a video that said that he was like cut in March, which is like right when they were making the final decisions.
Andy and Marianne, who were
Andy and
replaced by
Marianne.
Rizzo and Savannah. I will also say, I do think Sophie Bellardi has been everywhere, and I do think that is also because of Rizzo and Savannah, and it just happened. But she was at that like red carpet thing for this season.
People
I think she's a
hosted
lock
it.
for the next season as well. The next season.
My argument to that is that after Second Chance, Jeff said we will see Carolyn Rivera again, and where's she at?
Yeah, I think if someone were to like someone like
No, she's
Mike
not.
White, or if someone like Mike White or Rob Cesternino showed him that clip, he'd be like, oh, I did say that. You know, he'd try to find a way around it, but you can't just like have a bunch of people tweeting him. It has to be someone influential to be like, Jeff, you said this, because she can't do it, you know. And I'm worried that she's a little too old now to where I don't know if they would have her back.
Yeah,
because
I
also
would
there's
be
so many
worried for
other
her.
people in her archetype. But I'll end it on this. Bring back Janet Carbin. She's my favorite player.
That's a good one.
That's a good
one.
One-time player to never win. If there's no idol nullifier, she wins that season because she plays her idol at 5, wins fire at 4, and wins easily.
Wins the jury vote for sure.
Yeah, I think without an idol nullifier that was decided by
and
a 50-50
then the season
coin.
is redeemed because she was the one who tried to lead the charge against Dan.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes, I think she is a lock in my second chances, but we'll see. All right, y'all. Thanks for talking for an hour and a half about this. It's such a fun time talking Survivor with you two, and I'm glad you got to be here. Even though Zach couldn't, we miss Zach, but hopefully next week I'll be on with Zach to talk about this swap. And who knows? Maybe we'll be mourning a completely surprising boot. Maybe we do lose like Ozzy or I don't know, another random Jonathan this week. Who knows? Maybe something crazy is gonna happen.
Thank you for not saying the C name.
Oh, I won't. I thought about it, but I was like, I can't put it out there. I think
C name.
I said she's got to get over the hump of the first few days, and she had a big hump to get over, and she did. So we'll have to see how much Devins puts in the work to protect her, but she's savvy enough. But any last words about this, Ingrid, Austin? Anything?
Just love it. Just loving Survivor.
Yeah.
Excited that we are finally at a returnee season after so long.
Yeah,
I know. It feels good. But the fan base everyone, Christian and Rick are so much fun. Shut up. A lot of people out there are like annoyed by
season.
that.
Stop wanting to complain about things for Survivor. Sometimes
Enjoy
we're allowed
fun.
to just like, y'all remember that we all started talking about this because we like the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're allowed to like the show. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna lose probably the biggest character of the new era potentially to a swap screw, not because they're crazy and manic, but because they literally just have no numbers and no votes on their side. So because they were being selfless to get supplies because Ozzy wanted the extra vote. So please guys, enjoy the season. It's gonna be fun. We'll talk definitely later on as the season goes. I'm sure there'll be a week where Zach or I can't be here. We'll have you back on, and at the end of the season, obviously recapping our fantasy draft. I won't pull it up one more time. Don't worry, Ingrid. But hopefully Christian finds more idols down the road. But thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for next week. I'll be back with Zach, and check out our power rankings on TikTok. We're gonna have those to you as well. But thanks for watching, y'all.